Good day, grade 9. So we are back with another video for lesson 3, which is the laws of radicals. After this lesson, you are expected to simplify radical expressions using the laws of radicals. So through the first half of the lessons of quarter 1, we have discussed the laws of exponents and how do we apply them with positive, negative, zero, and rational exponents. Ngayon, punta naman tayo kay radicals. We will further dig in and we will further understand the concept of radicals through its laws and how do we simplify them and paano natin masasabi na ang isang radical expression ay written na sa kanyang simplified form. So let's proceed with the laws of radicals. So since we already know how to write radical expressions, let us now learn how to simplify them. We have 3 laws of radicals na pwede natin gamitin in simplifying our radical expressions. So let's start with the first one. We have the nth root of a quantity raised to n is always equal to a. So this is possible if, you see, when the index of our radical expression is equivalent to the exponents or exponent na ginamit natin for our radicand. So I want you to remember that this form can be written as nth root of a raised to n. So, parehas lamang yan. Let us use this example. We have square root of 64. Okay, so for us to simplify square root of 64, we have to rewrite this using its exponential form. And we all know that 64 can be written as 8 squared. Okay, and since sabi nga natin, ang form na ito ay equal lang sa form na ito, simply pwedeng gamitin natin to para makapag-simplify ng ating radical expression. So, since a square root or a radical sign without our index or hindi na nakasulat dito ang index implies a square root. Therefore, ang kanyang index ay 2. So, pwede natin itong makancel which will give us 8. Let us have another example. Let's say we have the cube root of 216. Okay, so for the cube root of 216, we have to rewrite 216 using its exponential form. So we have cube root of 6 cubed. Therefore, we can cancel this since they are the same or they are equal. Therefore, which will give us 6. According to the second law, nth root of AB is equivalent to the nth root of A times the nth root of B. Okay? So, ibig sabihin lamang, kapag ang dalawang expression or radical expression ay may parehas na index, we can rewrite this as one radical expression kapag pinag-multiply ang ating radicands. Okay? Again, kapag parehas ang index, pwede lang natin siyang gamitin. So, let us have another example. We have the cube root of 125 x raised to 6. Since dalawa ang factors ng ating radicand, pwedeng isulat natin siya as the cube root of 125 multiplied by the cube root of x raised to 6. Equal lamang yan dahil pinaghiwalay lamang natin ang dalawang factors. Okay? So, ito pwedeng apply natin ang first law, which is we can simplify this using its exponential form. Cube root of 5 cube multiplied by. So, we can use transforming radical expression into rational exponents para mas mabilis natin siyang masimplify. So, we have x raised to 6 all over 3. Simply, this can be cancelled and then ito din, 6 divided by 3, that's 2. Therefore, that is 5x squared. Another example under the second law of radicals is when we are trying to simplify a non-perfect square number under a square root. So, one example is the square root of 48. Yan ay nasa module ninyo. So, sa square root of 48 ay pwede pa nating masimplify. Paano natin siya gagawin? We all know that 48 is not a perfect square. However, pwede nating mapaliit ang value na nasa loob ng radicand gamit ang laws of radicals. So, paano natin siya gagawin? Pwede natin itong isulat gamit ang kanyang dalawang factors because 48 can be written as 2 factors, right? However, 48 has too many factors kasi meron niyang 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 16. Okay, so maraming factors. However, anong gagamitin natin dyan? Okay, so para malaman natin kung anong gagamitin natin, kailangan natin makahanap ng isang perfect square. Sa factors na yan, meron tayong dalawa. We have 4 and 16. So, alin ang gagamitin? Para malaman natin, kailangan yung mahanap kung alin yung pinakamalaking perfect square na pwede natin gamitin na factor. And with this case, we have 16. So, ang isang factor ay 16, and for us to have 48, we have to multiply it by 3. So, gumamit na tayo ng perfect square. Bakit? Para saan ba? Para saan ba yun? That is to reduce our radicand. So, ang square root of 16 can be written as the square root of 4 squared, and then we multiply the square root of 3. Okay? Hindi natin binabago ang value. Nagbabago lang siya ng 4. So, this will be cancelled, which will give us 4 square root of 3. Okay? Another example, under ng laws of radicals, ay yung naging example natin sa ating self-check 1.2. So, sa self-check 1.2 natin, may example doon na 18 raised to 1/2, and we have to transform it to its radical expression. So, ito ay sinulat natin as square root of 18. Sabi ko noon, ang square root of 18 ay tama dahil yun ang transformation niya from rational exponents. However, meron ding nagsagot ng 3 square root of 2 at we considered it as correct answer. So, paano naging 3 square root of 2 ang square root of 18? So, ito yung lesson na tinutukoy ko kung saan ituturo ko sa inyo kung paano siya naging 3 square root of 2. Okay? So, ang square root of 18 can be written as 2 radical expressions containing radicands that are factors of 18. So, again, hanap tayo sa factors ng 18 na perfect square. So, we all know that 9 times 2 is equal to 18, and 9 is a perfect square. So, pwede natin siyang gamitin as 3 squared, and then we can cancel this, which will give us 3 square root of 2. Okay, so this is the simplification of square root of 18. For the third law, we have nth root of a over b is equivalent to the nth root of a all over the nth root of b. So kapag parehas ang ating index ng radical expression sa numerator at denominator, we can rewrite this as a new radical expression kung saan ang fraction ay nasa loob ng radical sign. Let us have an example, that's square root of 3 over 16. And we can rewrite this as square root of 3 all over square root of 16. Okay? And to simplify, square root of 3, hindi na natin i-simplify because 3 is a prime factor. And then, square root of 16 can be written as square root of 4 squared. This can be cancelled. Therefore, that's square root of 3 all over 4. Another example under the third law, wala ito sa inyong module, but I want to give another example. We have a fifth root of 32x raised to 10 all over y raised to 10. Okay, so we can rewrite this as fifth root of 32 x raised to 10 all over fifth root of y raised to 10. Okay. So, ang numerator natin ay may dalawang factor. So, pwedeng i-rewrite natin siya gamit ang second law of radicals, fifth root of 32 multiplied by the fifth root of x raised to 10 all over fifth root of y raised to 10. Okay? And this constant, 32, is a perfect fifth root. So, pwede natin siyang isulat sa kanyang exponential form, such as 2 raised to 5. Okay? Para mas mabilis natin siya makancel. So, makakancel natin siya. Then, this will be cancelled also, which will give us a new exponent, which is 2. And same is true with the denominator. Simply, we can rewrite this as 2x squared all over y squared. Now, let's proceed with simplifying radical expressions. We have actually 3 ways of simplifying radical expressions. We have removing perfect nth powers, reducing the index into the lowest possible order, and rationalizing the denominator of the radicand. So, for removing perfect nth powers, gagamit tayo ng example para mas mabilis natin siyang maintindihan. Square root of 8x raised to 5y raised to 6 z raised to 13. Okay? So, kaya sinabi nating perfect ay dahil kapag kinuha natin yung perfect nth powers, ang matitira na lang ay radicand. Okay? Now, para masulat natin ang perfect nth powers ng radicand na ito, paghihiwalayin natin siya gamit ang laws of radicals. We'll use 2 radical expressions kung saan sa first factor, isusulat nyo kung alin ang perfect nth powers ng ating radicand. At yung matitira ay nasa kabilang factor. Punta tayo sa first factor, which is a constant, and 8 is a perfect cube. Ang hinahanap natin ay perfect square. So, para maging perfect square, ang 8, paghiwalay natin siya sa dalawang factors, 4 and 2, since 4 is a perfect square. And then 2 yung isa pang factor. And then x, para maging perfect square, siya ay maging x raised to 4. And then yung x na natira ay pupunta sa kabila because x raised to 4 times x is x raised to 5. And then y raised to 6 is a perfect square. So, hindi natin siya pwedeng ihiwalay pa. And then, ang z raised to 13 can be written as z raised to 12 times z. Okay? And then, we simplify. Square root of 2 squared, x raised to 4, y raised to 6, z raised to 12, times square root of 2x z. So, makakancel natin yan. This one. So, will become 2, this will become 3, and this will become 6. Therefore, 2x squared, y raised to 3, z raised to 6, times square root of 2x z. For the second one, we have reducing the index into the lowest possible order. So, ang hahanapin natin dito ay yung index. We have the 6th root of 4. So, for us to reduce this, we need to use the index 6 using its 2 factors. Okay? Pwede natin i-rewrite it as the square root of the cube root of 4. So, ito'y equal lamang kasi 2 times 3, that is 6. Okay? And then the radicand is 4. However, 4 is a perfect square. Ibig sabihin, kapag under siya ng isang square root, tsaka lang siya pwedeng ma-simplify. So, tandaan nyo na pwede natin siyang pagbalik-tarin. Kaya dapat gamitin natin ang cube root of the square root of 4 so that makakancel natin yung radicand. So, pwede natin itang isulat as cube root of the square root of 2 squared. So, makakancel ito. Simply, that is the cube root of 2. Another example under reducing the index into its lowest possible order is the 20th root of 32 m raised to 15 n raised to 5. Okay? So, para mas mabilis natin siyang ma-reduce, we can use our constant 32 sa pamamagitan ng pag-turn natin ng 32 into its exponential form. So, that is 20th root of 2 raised to 5, m raised to 15, n raised to 5. Okay? And then, pansinin natin ng exponents ay pare-parehas divisible by 5. Ibig sabihin, ito ay isang clue kung saan pwede nating gamitin ng index para ma-reduce or ma-simplify ang ating radicand. So, using 5 as one of the factors of 20, ang isang factor ay 4. So, the 4th root of the 5th root of 2 raised to 5, m raised to 15, and n raised to 5. Okay? So, please notice na ang ginawa ko na dito is nasa loob na yung gagamitin natin para ma-simplify ang radicand. Okay? So, yun yung 5. Makakancel na ito, and then this will become 3, and then makakancel na rin siya. So, we have the 4th root of 2m raised to 3n. So, for the third one, we have rationalizing the denominator of the radicand. So, inotice ninyo na denominator ang ginamit natin. And denominator ay present kapag gumagamit tayo ng fraction. Ibig sabihin, applicable ang rationalizing the denominator kapag ang radical expression ay nag-involve ng fraction. Let us have an example. We have the square root of x cubed over y. So, gamit ang laws of radicals, pwede natin siyang i-rewrite as square root of x cubed all over square root of y. Ang numerator ay pwedeng ma-simplify gamit ang removing the perfect nth powers. So, we'll write this as the square root of x squared times square root of x. Because x squared is a perfect square. Since ang ating radical sign, may index siyang 2. And then, square root of y. Makakancel natin siya, which will give us x square root of x all over square root of y. However, we cannot say that this is a simplified form. Bakit? Always remember that when we are dealing with fractions, with radical expressions, we cannot consider it as a simplified form if the denominator contains a radical expression or merong radical sign sa denominator. So, ibig sabihin, kailangan pa siyang masimplify. And that's the time that we use rationalization. So, paano natin siya gagamitin? We have x, square root of x all over square root of y. Ang goal ng rationalization is to remove our radical sign sa ating denominator. At para magawa natin siya, meron tayong specific process na gagawin. Okay? So, we have to remember that square root of y is equivalent to y raised to 1/2, right? Now, y ang ating kailangang itira. 1/2 na exponent ang kailangan natin alisin. Kasi yun yung equivalent ng square root natin. Now, we have to multiply this sa isa pang factor kung saan ang sagot dapat ay y. Kasi para wala na tayong rational exponent, wala na tayong radical sign. So, sabi sa ating product rule, when we multiply two expressions with the same base, we have to copy the base and add their exponents. Since ang exponent ng y is 1, ano ang i-add natin kay 1/2 para maging 1? Okay, so that is 1/2. Therefore, when we multiply y raised to 1/2 by y raised to 1/2, we get y. Okay? So simply, we have to multiply this with square root of y to get y. However, this is an expression. So, para hindi natin maibo ang value ng ating expression, i-multiply din natin ang denominator, ang numerator rather, sa square root of y. Bakit? Because square root of y all over square root of y is equal to 1. Okay? So, para ka lang nagmumultiply ng 1 sa ating value, and when we multiply 1 with a number, the answer is always the number itself. So, hindi natin binago ang kanyang value. Now, let's multiply. We have x square root of x times square root of y all over square root of y times square root of y. Simply, pagsamahin natin since parehas ang ating index. So, x times square root of xy all over square root of y squared because y times y is y squared. And then, simply, we can cancel this which will give us x square root of xy all over y. Now, that's the time na pwede natin siyang sabihin na nasa simplified form na siya. Another example under rationalization is the cube root of 3 over 4k. Okay, so ano kaibahan niya kanina? Ang index natin kanina is 2, ngayon ay 3 na. So, paano naman kapag ang index ay 3? Okay, so i-rewrite muna natin siya as the cube root of 3 all over the cube root of 4k. Okay, so meron tayong radical expression sa denominator. That's the time nagagamit tayo ng rationalization. So, anong i-multiply natin sa denominator para mawala or ma-eradicate ang ating radical expression? So, note that ang ating radicand ang gagamitin natin para makapag-multiply tayo ng isa pang radical expression kasi ikakopy natin yung kanyang index. Now, 4 is a perfect square, right? And when we get the square root of 4 and multiply it by 4, it will become a perfect cube. So, square root of 4 is 2. So, pag minag-multiply natin ang 2 at 4, it will become 8. Kaya bibigyan niya tayo ng isang perfect cube. And then k, i-multiply natin siya sa k squared para maging perfect cube siya. And then you copy the denominator sa numerator, cube root of 2k squared, and then we proceed to multiplication. So, pagsamahin natin, we have the cube root of 3 times 2, that is 6k squared, all over the cube root of 4 times 2, that is 8, and then k times k squared is k cube. Then, rewrite ulit natin siya as cube root of 6k squared all over the cube root of 2 cube k cube. Okay? So, makakancel na. Yun nasa denominator. Cancel natin yung ating index at yung ating exponents. Simply, this is equivalent to the cube root of 6k squared all over 2k. So, we should always remember that the simplified form of a radical expression would require three things. no prime factor of a radicand that has an exponent equal or greater than the index. Second, no fractions inside the radicals. And third, no radicals on the denominator. So this ends the video lesson for lesson 3. I hope that it had answered the questions that you have, and through this video, you were able to further understand the lesson. Kung meron pa kayong mga tanong, again, pwede nyo siyang erase during our synchronous meetings. So I hope, again, this video able to make you think, wonder, and explore mathematics through the laws of radicals. Thank you.